Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters to the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and welcome back, the Freedom Fighters. Round of applause.
Woo! Yay!
It's been a fair while since we did issues 2 and 3. I think it was back during the tail end of the summer. So what do we remember about those ones? Well, the Freedom Fighters came to Earth 1 and they tangled with the Silver Ghost and they're wanted criminals for some reason.
Yes, because the Silver Ghost blackmailed them into working for him and carrying out some nefarious deeds.
So he did.
Yes.
That's right. There was that whole thing with the Ray and the human bomb and the underground train and all that stuff. That's right.
And some of them seem to have developed new powers. For example, Phantom Lady can phase through things, although she doesn't seem to be able to control it.
Yes, like she's an actual phantom, yes.
Uh-huh.
There's an interesting development in that area. In one of the two issues we're going to cover today, listeners, we are going to look at issues 4 and 5, kicking off with issue 4, published on the 3rd of July, 1976, not long before Ringo's 36th birthday, if you're worried about such things. And let me do a quick sum. John Pertwee would have been 57 in a few days as well, I seem to think.
Okay.
That's right, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes, that's right. John Pertwee would have been 57 in a few days, and Ringo Starr would have been 36, and Jason from Take That might have been born because his birthday's around then as well. Anyway, yes, I'm going to start a new podcast where I talk about celebrity birthdays. It'll be called the Celebrity Birthdays Podcast. We'll see how that goes. Oh, yes, and also, actually, I should look at my notes here. We're also a few days out from in fact, we're a week out from the second birthday of Simon from Menswear.
Well, happy birthday to Simon.
Happy birthday, Simon, if you're listening. Right, so we'd better get on with it after all that silly preamble. Peter is going to tell us about the very exciting cover to issue 4.
Yes, at the top we have the Cigar Band, Freedom Fighters, the line of DC Superstars, special guest star, Wonder Woman.
Ooh!
30 cents, number 4, October, production code 30496, approved by the Comics Code Authority. And underneath the big Freedom Fighters logo, we are in the skies above New York. You can see the Hudson River in the background. And there is a battle taking place in the skies. It's very, very exciting.
Quite a lot of battles taking place in the sky these days, it seems.
Yes.
Maybe that was the place to have your battles in 1976.
Whether you can fly or not, apparently. So we have Wonder Woman, and she is fighting the Freedom Fighters. She's throwing her lasso around Uncle Sam and is yanking him towards her. And she's also leaning back to deflect a blast coming from the Ray, who's flying in. Black Condor's flying in as well, looking menacing. And standing on the UN building behind them, atop it, we have the human bomb, who's shaking an explosive fist at her. Phantom Lady is also there. She's also shaking a fist, which isn't really doing anything, obviously. And leaping, it seems to be from Uncle Sam's knee, towards Wonder Woman is Dollman.
That's very brave of Dollman.
It certainly is.
Because if he misses, he's going to plummet from quite a height.
He'd grab onto a flying pigeon that happens to be passing and ride that to safety.
Right, of course, that's what he'd do.
Anyway, Wonder Woman is saying,
"You and your band of freedom fighters are outlaws, Uncle Sam, and it's my job to bring you in."
And there's a small box in the corner that tells us this is an Ernie Chan cover, 1976.
It's a brilliant cover, isn't it? It's so much better than that slightly confusing one for All-Star Comics issue 62 that he did the other week.
Yes.
I like this one a lot. Lots of little details like boats chugging along in the river and the bridge and stuff. It's very good.
Mm-hmm. Is that Staten Island? Is that Long Island? I'm not sure of my...
I'm not sure. I'm sure someone will tell us.
Yes.
I'm sure one of our listeners will let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Look out for the French reprint of this on the socials this week, listeners. Very exciting.
Bon.
We jump in. Opening splash image. We're immediately hailed by a caption which reads,
"At last, by popular demand, Freedom Fighters with special guest star Wonder Woman."
And we get a little caption box that lists all the credits for this issue.
Proudly presented by Martin Pascoe, writer, Ramona Frayton and Vince Coletta, artists, Ben Oda, letterer, Liz Berube, colorist, and Jerry Conway, guidance.
Interesting. And then another caption tells us where we are.
New York City, the lobby of the United Nations Secretariat building.
It's bustling, it's busy. We can see guards in the background running in towards what seems to be some confusion, and kerfuffle in the middle of the panel. We see a number of bystanders being shoved out of the way by the colourful forms of the freedom fighters. Leading the charge is Uncle Sam, who says, "Excuse us, folks, we got us some important business to take care of." Behind him is the human bomb, who says,
"Hurry up, Sam. The cops had to see us coming here, and they'll be on our tails and nothing flat."
Also behind Sam, just to his right, is the Black Condor, who says, "You sure coming here was the right idea, Uncle? We really aren't delegates, you know." "Maybe so, Condor, but the General Assembly don't know that, and all we're going to tell them is we represent our Earth. And as for these police the human bomb mentioned, once these UN fellows recognise us, we'll claim diplomatic immunity from arrest." And then we get a nice big caption which tells us the title of this issue.
The Left Hand of Oblivion.
Who might have supported the Montrose Avenue. Maybe they supported Menswear. Maybe Simon will write in and tell us. So, on page 2, the freedom fighters run up some stairs, followed by some security guards who try and stop them. Sam and the Ray hold them off at first, before the team is boxed in, and Dollman and Phantom Lady join in the scuffle too. The human bomb takes off a glove and convinces the guards to back off, as Black Condor flies the Ray, Dollman, and Phantom Lady up the stairs as Sam and the bomb follow. The bomb convinces the guards to remain where they are by threatening to bring down the whole building. Goodness me, the cops agree.
15 seconds. That's all it takes for the strident echoes of heated debate to fade in the great hall of the General Assembly as the 6 freedom fighters sprint swiftly down the centre aisle. 5 seconds more and a low steady hum rises to the vaulted ceiling. The drone of incredulous whispers, and 1,000 earphones instantly translating the words of Uncle Sam that ring out above the buzz.
This is a great image, which will hopefully make it onto the socials. The freedom fighters pelting down the aisle towards the stage in the debate chamber. And Sam, at the head of the team, cries, "Now hold on just a goddamn minute there, Mr. Speaker." And as he does this, from around the room, we get scattered international cries of surprise. Someone, probably from the UK, says,
"Good Lord!"
A nice Frenchman says, "Mon Dieu!" A disturbed German says,
"Gott in Himmel!"
And then a baldy man in glasses with a green jacket says,
"Madre Dios!" But let us leave the multilingual pandemonium and switch to a scene several stories higher, and study the response the uproar provokes in one Morgan Tracy, administrator of the UN Crisis Bureau.
And we see Morgan, who's a very smart-looking man in a green suit, dark hair and a neat moustache. You could be forgiven for thinking it's Tony Stark, and he's in the company of a woman with dark hair, swept back, wearing green shades, and also in a green business suit. She's pressing a button to call the lift, but he's running for a door marked exit. The woman says, "Morgan?"
"Not now, Diana. The General Assembly session has just been invaded by a group of superpowered fugitives. I've sent my entire staff to..."
And he pauses in the doorway and looks back because she's now poking her head out of the lift, and he says,
"Hey, why aren't you downstairs with everyone else?"
"Because for one thing, Scatterbrain, I don't work for you anymore, remember?" An asterisk tells us.
See Wonder Woman issue 226.
Oh, 226, it's getting close, folks. And then she continues saying, "And for another, I don't know what in the world you're talking about." And then she thinks, "But I will soon enough. I'm heading down there now."
And, soon enough, in a translator's booth overlooking the General Assembly chamber...
Yes, this woman with dark hair and the green suit and the cool green shades has walked in. We can see she's carrying some papers. She can see a couple of people looking through the glass at Uncle Sam and the human bomb making their way up onto the podium to talk to whoever's there. And this lady is thinking, "I've never seen Morgan so agitated. Must be something pretty heavy to get him so..." "Great Hera!" she exclaims. And then we get a caption in the shape of an arrow that points at the lady and says,
"Great Hera? Of course. Didn't you recognize the bespectacled beauty? She's Diana Prince, better known to us as a certain superheroine number 1, whose mind right now is turning with its customary amazing Amazon speed."
Yes, we get a great close-up of Diana Prince as she thinks, "That man, I recognise him from those photos the district attorney showed me in his office just yesterday." And we get a few panels now with rounded edges which show we're in flashback territory, and we see Wonder Woman walking into the office of none other than DA David Pearson. He looks round as she arrives. She says, "Mr. Pearson?"
"Yes, I'm Pearson. Do come in, Your Highness."
Wonder Woman will do, sir."
"Certainly, Miss Woman. May I present Police Commissioner Hayden Ross, Craig Olsen, the Mayor's Chief of Staff, and Chief of Police Frank Connolly."
We see these gentlemen all arranged, and of course we've met Olsen previously. Wonder Woman says, "How do you do, gentlemen?" Then Pearson speaks.
"Let's get down to cases, shall we? I asked you here because, Frankly, Wonder Woman, we need your help.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm here in Man's World. We see that he's standing in front of a poster board with some wanted posters mounted on it. He gestures towards them and speechifies for a bit.
That's not what I meant. I was referring specifically to these so-called freedom fighters, who recently arrived here from a parallel world we call Earth X. Ostensibly they came as costumed crime fighters like yourself, but within 24 hours of their arrival, they began assisting a terrorist named the Silver Ghost in destroying over $1 million worth of municipal property. And so I've sworn out 6 warrants for their arrest. We have very little experience dealing with superpowered types gone bad, so we want you to bring in the freedom fighters.
Me? Well, Mr. Pearson, I'm flattered, I guess, but I'm not a bounty hunter.
Oh, really?
And he looks a little angry and points at her, saying,
Well, let's get something straight, young lady, shall we? You came to our fair city from that Amazon island of yours without so much as a by your leave. Nobody asked you here, and nobody says you have to stay.
At this point, Police Commissioner Ross says,
Unlike those fighters, we could send you back where you came from.
Then Olsen chips in with, Besides, you're as much trouble as you prevent, what with all the supervillains you attract. And then Chief of Police Frank Connolly says,
So, do you play ball or not?
Flaring tempers, shouting threats, typical male behaviour. But unfortunately, none that I can argue with. I suppose I have no choice but to help you, do I? And Pearson, looking very smug, lights a cigarette as he leans back in his chair and says,
Excellent. We deeply appreciate your volunteering your services, Wonder Woman. Any questions?
And as Connolly rather creepily leans in towards Wonder Woman, she replies to Pearson, Just one. What are you staring at, Chief?
Who, me? I wasn't. I was just noticing your costume, that's it. Never mind.
Pearson gets to his feet and says,
You'll have to excuse the Chief, Wonder. He's not accustomed to being around Amazons.
And Diana laughs, walking away saying, Forget it, Mr. Pearson. I'm used to it. We cut back to Diana in the translation booth as she's thinking, What I'm not used to is such a lack of understanding from the authorities. But Pearson didn't leave me any alternative, so Wonder Woman must apprehend the freedom fighters, like it or not. And a great panel showing her whirling her lasso around her is complemented by a caption that reads,
In a secluded corner, Diana passes her magic lasso over her body, and its vibrations melt away her specially treated street clothes to reveal the garb of Wonder Woman. And seconds later,
Wonder Woman marches into the debating chamber, striding up towards the freedom fighters, and she says, All right, group, whatever you wanted to say here, you're going to have to say to the DA instead. The Ray fires a blast at Wonder Woman, but she deflects it with her bracelets. The bomb steps forward, but Sam restrains him so that Phantom Lady can take a turn. She zaps Diana with a blast of black light to the face, knocking her off guard before Phantom Lady aims a kick at Wonder Woman's head. Wonder Woman is able to snare Phantom Lady with her lasso, but Phantom Lady is able to concentrate and phase herself free using her phantom powers before grabbing Wonder Woman's hair. As an astonished man in a turban looks on, Wonder Woman frees herself by using her feet to flip Phantom Lady over her head into a desk with an almighty wham. Dollman, Black Condor and the Ray try to tackle Wonder Woman, but she leaps out of their way and their heads all collide with a very satisfying
bonk.
Human Bomb moves to take off one of his gloves, saying,
She's clobbered over half the team, Sam. I can't hold back any more.
But with Wonder Woman spinning her lasso above them all, she says, Sorry, Mr. Lincoln, but I can't allow you to unleash your explosive personality in a room full of UN delegates. And with that, she manages to lasso Uncle Sam and the Human Bomb, both at the top of the podium. She continues, My lasso will force you to accompany me to Pearson's office. Maybe I should have mentioned this sooner, but I've read about you in the Justice League casebook, and an asterisk takes you to a caption that reads,
The fighters met the JLA, sans Wonder Woman, in Justice League issues 107 and 108. Jerry. Or indeed, the previous episode of this podcast.
Yes. And remember, kids, we did put together a handy omnibus of that JLA story last summer, so it shouldn't take you too long to find that if you scroll back.
Yes.
Anyway, Wonder Woman continues, And for what it's worth, I'm on your side. Sam gets a close-up as he says, Dagnammit, Bomb. Appears we don't have no say-so about it, so as we might as well go with the lady, eh?
Within minutes.
Wonder Woman and the Freedom Fighters have all climbed into the cockpit of her invisible plane, and it's flying away from the UN building. The Ray is in the process of saying, And if we hadn't helped the Silver Ghost destroy those buildings, he'd have killed 3 of us. And Asterisk takes us to a caption.
Issue 2, or indeed a previous episode of this podcast.
Human Bomb comes in with,
But now the ghost is dead, Wonder Woman.
I know that, Bomb, but I have a plan.
But our attention must now shift to another whose life has felt the touch of the villainous Silver Ghost. And still another who is about to.
We see an elderly lady in a green fur-lined coat and a big hat with a walking stick taking a stroll along the pavement. And walking towards her is a big burly chap, brown hair, wearing a trench coat which to me doesn't look as if it fits him properly. And he sees the old woman and he thinks, that old lady, she looks like Mama? He asks, as the captioning tells us who this lady actually is.
Normally, Abigail Pritchard, age 74, would never stop to speak to a stranger in this neighbourhood, but something in his pleading eyes causes her to believe she can help him somehow. It is Abigail Pritchard's very last thought.
Because as Abigail passes the chap in the trench coat, he again says, Mama, and reaches out and his left hand touches her, and there's a little burst of energy.
For in the next instant, she is transformed into a shimmering puddle of liquid silver.
And this is horrible. Poor Abigail. She just literally just melts and dissolves, and this figure stands over her. His trench coat falls open. We see a harness underneath and blue trunks, blue boots. He looks down, standing in the middle of the puddle that once was Abigail, and he says, Mama?
And then, King Samson remembers.
For the next couple of panels, we're again in flashback territory. They're rounded off as we go back to the events of issue 2 and
the death of the Silver Ghost, the man who promised to make him a king, slain in a humble Central Park pond by a short circuit in the very device which had made him, for ever so brief a time, the most feared man in New York City.
Yes, and we see the Silver Ghost lying face down in the water, which, if you remember, was quite an exciting part of issue 2. Samson, kneeling down behind him, moves forward, and then we see him looking closely at the equipment that's all sort of sprung and burst out of the Silver Ghost's left hand. Samson looks at it closely, the captioning returns.
Samson had salvaged what he could from his master's defeat. It wasn't much, mind you, just a glove-like mechanism whose intricacies the dull-witted Samson could never hope to understand. Yet he had reasoned correctly that the wonders the glove had performed for his master could also be performed for him.
We see Samson, still in Central Park, kneeling down to pick up a tulip, which in the next panel flashes and turns silver, because of course he's wearing the Silver Ghost's glove on his left hand.
The silver tulip delighted this brute with a child's mind, and as the sunlight reflected its beauty, he found himself smiling, and thinking of the only other beauty he had known in his life.
We see him tucking the tulip into the inside pocket of his coat.
King Samson went home. Home to the little corner store on Amsterdam Avenue, and the only human being who had ever shown him love.
And we see him rushing up to an elderly lady wearing like a blue coat that looks like standing outside a fairly grotty building. With his arms wide, he moves forward to hug her. She cries, Leo! And Samson hugs this old woman, and he says, choking back a sob, Mama!
His mother had not seen him since the police had taken him away for nearly killing his foreman in a brawl at the factory where he worked. She did not know her boy was King Samson, only that he was home at last, and the reunion brought tears to the eyes of both mother and son.
And in the next panel, tragedy strikes again. He's hugging his mum and he says, Oh, Ma!
I know, son. I know.
And the glove that Samson is wearing on his left hand glows brightly.
In the wake of his emotions, Samson forgot the device he had salvaged from the lifeless form of the Silver Ghost. That's when the horror, compounded by the unpredictable elements within the glove, struck.
And this is horrendous. I mean, it's not even like she dissolves into a puddle like poor Abigail. There's a loud snap, and she just dissolves into, looks almost like bits of silver glass. King Samson cries, Mama! Mama! And he looks at his left hand, which is full of the shrapnel that's left, and the caption continues,
And that was when a simple brute went mad.
We see him shaking his left fist angrily at the sky in the next panel, and he cries out loud, The freedom fighters! They killed the Silver Ghost, and they used up the antidote to make 3 of them better. So now I can make you all better, Mama. I'll make 'em pay for that, Ma. I'll make 'em pay.
But he cannot make them pay if he cannot find them. And since he cannot find them, he will simply have to find a way to bring them to him.
And we see Samson marching up the steps of a building which at this point isn't identified. The caption continues.
which might prove difficult for even an intelligent man, for the freedom fighters, or half of them at least, are being led off to jail just now, as per a rather unprecedented agreement with an unhappy D.A. Pearson.
An agreement that sees the Ray, Black Condor and Dollman being jailed while the other freedom fighters are left mobile in order to find the Silver Ghost's crew. We see Ray and Condor being led off handcuffed together, and Dollman suffering the absolute indignity of being removed in a branded cat carrying box. Hopefully there'll be room for that panel on the socials. District Attorney Pearson says that he'd have locked them all up if Wonder Woman hadn't vouched for them. And he goes on to antagonise the human bomb by suggesting he's a bit smelly in his suit. The human bomb then explains,
It's just me, you pompous old windbag. I can't take this suit off the way I could on Earth X. The teleporter that gave Sandy her new power also made all of me explosive, not just my hands. So I could only shower in a special lead-lined chamber back at our headquarters. But I haven't been able to get back there for a week since your goons have been chasing us all over the city. So if the air gets a little ripe around here, Mr. Pearson, it's all your fault, you turkey.
and he prods Pearson in the chest as Sam rubs his eyes, Phantom Lady laughs behind her hand, and Wonder Woman just rolls her eyes. As this exchange takes place, Wonder Woman decides to beam up to the JLA satellite to see if the Justice League HQ's scanners can find any of the Ghost's henchmen.
And with a touch of the JLA signaling device hidden within her tiara,
Diana says, "Wonder Woman, to beam up." There's a glow and she starts to fade out.
immediately Wonder Woman's message is received in the Justice League's satellite sanctuary, spinning in a stationary orbit 22,300 miles above the surface of Mother Earth. And, in microseconds, the amazing Amazon disappears from the office of David Pearson to reappear before Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas.
And there he is. Wonder Woman steps out of the transporter tube, and Aquaman says,
Wonder Woman, you're not scheduled to relieve me.
"I know Atlantis is going to hell in a handbasket, Aquaman, and you're anxious to get back there, but unfortunately that's not why I'm here."
With the Marine Marvel's help, Wonder Woman puts every uncommitted bank of the JLA's computer scanner system to work, searching out any trace of the Silver Ghost henchmen. The results? Quite a bit more than she'd bargained for.
And a very serious Aquaman looks on as Wonder Woman looks at a printout saying, "Merciful Minerva! Somebody is using the Silver Ghost device in New York, but the overall effect is incredible."
Interlude. Three superheroes stripped of the gaudy trappings of their profession stand with fists clenched around cold steel bars. They think how often the Nazis of Earth X had tried unsuccessfully to put them where they have now come so docilely, and they wonder what has become of the once proud freedom fighters.
Yes, and we see a guard locking the prison cell on Dollman, the Ray and Black Condor. Dollman at full adult size, and the Ray not in costume, which is unusual.
Elsewhere, Wonder Woman reappears before their teammates with a crisp 6-word bulletin.
Yep, she beams in. Pearson's there with Phantom Lady, Human Bomb, and Uncle Sam, and Wonder Woman says, "We've got trouble, people. Big trouble."
And before D.A. Pearson can protest, a quartet of determined adventurers are winging their way over Manhattan in a desperate search for
Some bozo who copped one of the ghost gimmicky gloves before the cops found him? So what's the big deal? We beat the original. You think a pinch hitter's going to give us any trouble?
"You should have taken the time to read the printout I got from the JLA computer, Mr. Lincoln. The missing glove is reacting unpredictably because of the damage it sustained during your battle with the late Silver Ghost. It could..." But she's interrupted by Sam, who points from the cockpit of the invisible jet, where they all are at the moment. He points below and says, "Look down there! That building shaking like it's gonna explode!" Page 14 is then a massive single full panel showing King Samson with his left hand raised and the building Sam spotted shattering, sending rubble and innocent people flying. Sam, Phantom Lady and the bomb move quickly to the rescue, catching people and shattering falling masonry. Phantom Lady and Wonder Woman turn their attention to King Samson, with Sandy warning Diana his strength backs up his name. Phantom Lady suggests letting the boys handle him. And of course, Wonder Woman isn't having that. She attempts to lasso King Samson, but he grabs the rope in his silver hand and actually manages to snap it. Phantom Lady tries to rugby tackle him, and Wonder Woman moves forward to warn her, but Samson strikes Wonder Woman with his left hand. There is a massive
zap,
and a caption reads,
Wonder Woman falls heavily to the ground. She does not move, nor, for that matter, Does she breathe?
The bomb moves towards Samson, but Sam restrains him, saying, "Don't do it, son. You don't know what's liable to happen if you hit that fella with your kind of power." According to that computer riding Wonder Woman showed us, something's gone haywire with the glove King Samson's using. It's weakening the bedrock Manhattan rests on, and if he keeps on using it, the whole shooting match could just sort of come apart at the seams. And we're shown projected, imagined images of New York being shaken about, the locals panicking as buildings collapse. As Sam continues, "It'd make the Nazi bombing raids back home on Earth X look like Sunday school picnics. Start praying, old buddy. Only Wonder Woman knew just how to stop King Samson, and she's dead. We've got to do it now, Roy, but if we don't get it just right, New York City dies." And after a final apocalyptic image of New York disappearing under massive waves, a caption reads,
Wonder Woman dead? New York doomed? Be here next issue when begins the reign of King Samson. On sale the 4th week in August. Well, how dramatic.
Yes, and for a start, I have to say I enjoyed that issue a lot more than issue 3 because there was no sanctioned sort of unpleasant murder of wives or anything. Of course, there is the death of the old lady, which is really, really unpleasant.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. And of course, there's a lot of misogyny about in place as well. So, you know.
Yes.
It is the 70s. There you go.
Who wrote this? Martin Pascoe. Martin Pascoe, we might be profiling you.
No, it's very enjoyable. It has advanced some of the characters. It has moved some things on. I like the comments about the human bomb being trapped in his suit. That must be really uncomfortable. Think of the chafing. My goodness. Being stuck in that sort of thing for a week.
That's definitely something that I would imagine was taken into account when the suit was designed.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Not ideal, not comfortable at all.
And Phantom Lady seems to be getting control of her powers a bit more. Her new powers that aren't really necessary. Yay. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's quite a fun knockabout sort of thing. I mean, as usual with these episodes, we're sort of summarising some of the details, listeners, just so that we can try and get... If we did all these ongoing series individually, we'd be here forever. It's a fun knockabout read. I like the scene at the start of them all sort of running up the stairs to get into the United Nations. That's a great visual sort of thing. You can imagine that playing really well if it was dramatised. I like the way that Wonder Woman's brought into proceedings. I like the fact that she's there in her capacity as Diana Prince, even though, Pearson's sent her, we find that out, but it makes sense for her to be there. I like that.
Yeah, that was cool. Pearson's character development is interesting as well, because he started off in the first issue as almost being like their Commissioner Gordon, as being their ally and supporter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And now he's the complete, arch antagonist. I mean, he is. The way he's like leaning back in his chair, as you said in that panel, with his bow tie, lighting the cigarette, when he's managed to convince Wonder Woman to track him down freedom fighters. It's very arch. It's very camp.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from the, you guys can help us out in New York. Great.
Yeah.
Here's your headquarters of, the first issue.
Yeah, because it was him that gave them the armory to live in. You're right. Do you think it's maybe a symptom of the shifting creative teams, this inconsistency?
Definitely. I mean, we've seen this in Secret Society. Yeah, All-Star's going to be hit with the same sort of issues.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting period, but it's a very erratic period for a lot of these titles. Especially the titles that have launched at this period, as opposed to ones that have been longer established and have a bit more continuity about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. It's almost like, we talk about Conway's Corner and all that, because this is...
Yeah.
Jerry Conway basically went back to Marvel after launching a bunch of these books, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And it kind of shows that there was no one coming in with the same sort of, not passion, but understanding of what they wanted to do. I think, so far, Freedom Fighters is definitely the most patchy. I found Secret Society a little more coherent, and All Stars has probably been very coherent by comparison.
Yeah.
This one is a little bit all over the place. I mean, the substance of this is a lot less than the issues of All-Star that we've just covered.
Yeah, I'm with you.
This is a lot looser. It's a lot more of a knockabout, wham bam sort of thing than the JSA stories.
I mean, even the caricatured reactions in the UN from the delegates.
Yes.
It's all the Gott in Himmel and Mon Dieu.
Yeah.
It's the cliches.
Absolutely.
Which is still hilarious and gets the point across, but it's not exactly written for adults, is it?
No, you're right. It doesn't require as much effort from the reader as definitely All-Star Comics number 62 did.
Yeah, very much so. I must say, I am loving Ramona Fradon's art in this. The looser, cartoony style, it makes it feel I don't want to say simplistic. It really enhances the storytelling, I think.
Okay.
It's very enjoyable. It's really easy to follow.
It's very, yeah.
And it adds drama where there needs to be drama. There's not too much stuff overdone, which you can get in this period as well. Because look at the disco look of Xanadu and how he had all the detailing on every bit in the recent All-Star Comics episodes that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that we talked about those All-Star Comics was how much capturing there was and how much that was kind of getting in the way. I mean, they're confident enough in Ramona that she can just draw one full page of a building exploding. Now, I get the feeling if that had been in one of those issues of All-Stars, it would have been covered in captions detailing every aspect of the explosion.
Oh, yeah, you'd have captions all the way down the side.
Yeah. I don't think simplistic is one, but there's a straightforwardness to the storytelling here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not as overdone as some of the Secret Society and some of the All-Star stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fluid and a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree with what you say about the building exploding splash page, because if it had been in All-Star, then there would be a caption beside it saying, over 200 builders spent 3 years to construct this building, and it's torn down in an instant. It would be a big, huge scroll like that. They'd probably even name the foreman and stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of foreman, I liked the reference to King Samson being a construction worker, because remember when he first appeared, he had that hard hat in issue 1.
That's right. Yeah, because we compared him to the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, and then it changed to issue 2 to this more kind of Greek god superhero-y kind of like look that he's got in this issue.
When we did issues 2 and 3, we compared him to looking a bit more like an Atlas character.
Yes, very much so.
Than a member of the Wrecking Crew. So I did go back and listen to those episodes in prep.
Yeah.
What do you think of Aquaman's cameo? That was fun.
Aquaman, who sounded a bit like David Pearson. Perhaps David Pearson's a secret Atlantean. Who knows?
Yeah, we didn't read it because it interrupted the flow too much, but when Wonder Woman mentions Atlantis going to hell in a handbasket, there's a caption that reads, see Adventure Comics for details. So we won't be covering those stories, but feel free, listeners, to go and read them yourselves.
Yes.
Or start an Aquaman in the 70s podcast. I imagine there must have been something on the Fire and Water podcast network about Aquaman.
Of course there has been, yes.
I can't speak from a position of authority. I apologise. I only listened to 2 shows on that network. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one. As you say, it does move things along a little bit. I mean, it's good that King Samson came back, I suppose. He's just not been left as a loose end. I'm fascinated by the idea that Pearson is letting Sam and Phantom Lady and Human Bomb kick about while the others are in prison.
Yeah. Speaking of which as well, dull man behind bars, what's the point in that? You can basically just strike down and walk out. Ray could blast out. Black Condor, a bit trickier.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think at this point, it's a question of trust.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay, we'll go along with you and do what you want to do. We'll do this whilst they do that. They're trying not to antagonise them too much, I think.
But D.A. Pearson's acting the same way the Silver Ghost acted pretty much at the start of this series, by basically holding some freedom fighters hostage so that the other ones can do what he wants.
Yeah.
So, again, that's going back to him kind of being the bad guy again.
Yeah, I know. It is quite inconsistent, isn't it?
It's definitely a retread of what they did at the start, but obviously just flipping it, so it's the side of the law that's actually blackmailing the freedom fighters this time.
I know, it's not ideal. We shall see how it develops. Right, before we move on to the correspondence, we'll quickly talk about the last page, which is hype and lies. It's just all in Uncle Sam's imaginings.
Yes.
I don't recall ever seeing that in a comic before, to be honest.
No, hugely, no. Uncle Sam obviously is a fan of the painting The Great Wave, or whatever it's called, I think.
Sure.
Because that last panel looks like that, pretty much. And basically, reading this page, I wonder if the makers of, what was it called, The Day After Tomorrow, were inspired by this page for their Destruction of New York montage in the trailer for that movie. I've never seen the movie, I've only seen the trailer. So
I'm sure they were. Yeah, you can see the Chrysler building tipping over quite clearly. I don't think I saw it in the cinema, but we did have it on playing in HMV when it came out on disc. We did have it playing in store. And I remember over the course of a few weeks gradually seeing most of the film, but not necessarily in the right order,
Oh, well.
We'll have to pay attention in the next issue and see if there's any follow-up to this apocalyptic final page. So quickly then, we'll jump to issue 6 to do the letters for issue 4.
In Freedom Fan Mail.
Yep, the first letter goes like this.
Dear Editor, ironic is it not that the best Ernie Chan illustration of Wonder Woman ever appears not on the cover of Wonder Woman, but on Freedom Fighters? FF4 sported a cover that was nothing short of gorgeous. The colouring was very well organised. The bright, colourful logo and the characters formed a good contrast with the cool, dull greens and browns of the background. The characters, Wonder Woman and Uncle Sam especially, really stood out. Beautiful! Ramona Fradon did a pretty good job on the interiors, but I'd much prefer someone that would give the mag more detail in figures and backgrounds.
Interesting.
Vince Coletta did a fine job of toning down her cartoonishness, but still, a group mag needs good, solid, detailed artwork. I disagree. Marty Pascoe did a fine script for his last outing on the mag. The Freedom Fighters' plan of getting the United Nations to recognise him was a good one, though I doubt it would have worked. It is doubtful that they'd be granted immunity as well, but the idea was a clever way of bringing Wonder Woman into the story, and considering how well Marty writes Wonder Woman's own mag, that's a real plus for this issue. Wonder Woman was more than a match for her heroes in this issue, wasn't she? I'm pleased to see Marty giving her all the power she has in her own mag rather than watering her down. A smart move on his part. There were several other things I liked about this book too. The continuity between issues, King Samson's misuse of the glove he got from the Silver Ghost, Dollman's being carried away in the kitty box, the side effects suffered by the human bomb because of the teleporter that brought the FF to Earth 1, and the guest shot of Aquaman. I've noticed lately that many DC books are connecting up, and it really makes the DC Comics world unified. With the number of characters you have, it's inevitable that they would appear in each other's mags occasionally. I hope to see this happy trend continue in the future, and that's from Scott Taylor, Portland, Texas.
Editorial response reads, thanks for the kind words, Scott. In the short time that Freedom Fighters has been under my editorial wing, it's been my pleasure to work with some of the top talents in comics. The colourist who brought the cover of FF to life, Tajana Wood, surely tops the list. She's one of the best. Hopefully I pronounced that properly. Unfortunately, we've got to announce a change in our creative team. Ramona Fradon, whose fine art has graced this mag since the third issue, is moving on to Super Friends. We're sorry to see it happen, but we're also excited about the surprise new artist we've got lined up for the book. Who is this mystery artist? Gee whiz, if we told you now, it wouldn't be a mystery, would it? Ramona's work on Super Friends is astonishing. Anyway, the next letter reads, Dear Tony, I would like to welcome you to DC Comics. I was very dismayed when I found out you had left Marvel, especially since the mags you wrote there will undoubtedly be ruined by lesser writers. This letter to Tony Isabella, listeners. But I'm sure you'll enjoy your new job at DC, which includes editing a couple of fine books like Freedom Fighters and Super Team Family, especially now that the latter features the Challengers of the Unknown every issue. Stay tuned, folks. You might be reading one of them before you know it. What other books will you be working on? Will you be writing any books for DC? I have been very pleased with the Freedom Fighters since they first appeared, and have found they contain all the elements needed to become a truly great comic. Towards this end, I have some questions and suggestions. 1. Will the FF meet the Blackhawks and Plastic Man of Earth 1, since they knew the Earth X counterparts of these heroes? Question 2. Were all the quality heroes in Earth X killed, or will we see heroes like the Red Bee, Hercules and Quicksilver? Brilliant question. And number 3. What about the old supporting characters on Earth X? Dollman's fiancée Martha, for example. Are they destined to appear in the future? Here's wishing you luck on your new endeavours. Philip Botwinick, Woodhaven, New York.
Editorial response says, to answer your questions, number 1, not likely since the Blackhawks operate on a more realistic level and Plastic Man on a humorous level, but enough letters from the readers could change our minds. Number 2, the Freedom Fighters believe the other Earth X heroes died during World War II, but they could be wrong. Only a trip back to Earth X will tell for sure. And number 3 is a spoiler, so we're not going to say that.
No, we don't want to ruin that at all. But the question of Dollman's fiancée Martha might be answered very quickly. That's Tony Isabella there, writing checks that this series is not going to cash, isn't it? With references to Black Hawk and Plastic Man and questions about Hercules and Quicksilver. Oh, Tony, that's horrible. That's a horrible tease. Right, listeners, that's been issue 4. We're going to have a quick pause and we'll be right back with issue 5. So, that was a nice break, wasn't it? We're back with issue 5 of the Freedom Fighters, published on August the 24th, 1976. Peter will tell us about the cover.
At the top, the line of DC Superstars. 30 cents, number 5. December cover date.
No cigar band.
No cigar band.
No cigar band. Was issue 4 the final cigar band?
I think what's for Freedom Fighters, it looks like.
It could be. Oh well.
Below the Freedom Fighters logo, we have a shocking scene. At the front of this cover, we have Uncle Sam looking solemn, and he is carrying the lifeless body of none other than Wonder Woman. And he's saying,
Wonder Woman is dead, and it's our fault.
And the other Freedom Fighters are behind Sam, and they all look absolutely aghast. You got Black Condor flying in, the Race flying in with Dollman on his shoulder. Phantom Lady has a hand up to her face in shock, And Human Bomb could be doing anything we can't tell behind that costume.
Yeah, we can't even see his hands. He could be flipping us off for all we know.
And the cover's by Rich Buckler and Vince Coletta. So there we are.
Lovely. Very stark, very straightforward.
Yep.
It leaps off the shelf, so to speak.
A plain yellow cover in the background. It's very, very striking, as you said, yes.
Yes, all the costume colours pop off it nicely. So, straight into the story. A caption at the top of the page reads,
It is a somber occasion which greets us in this 5th issue of Freedom Fighters. Before us stands Uncle Sam, leader of the Freedom Fighters, and in his arms is the Amazon princess who attempted to aid our embattled super team. Her name is Wonder Woman, and she has just been murdered.
Yep, we see Uncle Sam holding Wonder Woman's lifeless body, as Peter alluded to in the cover. Phantom Lady is standing there too. She looks amazing with her ponytail. The Human Bomb is standing, gesturing behind him, where we see the form of King Samson, who's thrown away his brown trench coat. He has his beautiful red cape, and he's using his silver ghost glove to turn what looks like a taxi cab into silver. The Bomb gestures towards him, as I say, and he says,
Let's get this straight, old-timer. You're saying I can't go after King Samson, even though that creep wasted Wonder Woman?
Don't you understand, son? That glove he's wearing has the power to destroy New York City, and only Wonder Woman knew how to stop it. We get the credits for this issue.
Bob Rozakis, writer. Ramona Fraden and Vince Coletta, artist. Liz Berube, colourist. Milt Snappin, letterer. And Tony Isabella, story editor.
And then we get the title of this adventure, which is
The Rise and Fall of King Samson.
In the first panel, page 2, Phantom Lady gets between the Bomb and Uncle Sam, pushing them apart, and she says,
This is no time to argue, you two. King Samson's so wrapped up in his new power that he's forgotten all about us. He's giving us the time we need to bring Wonder Woman back to life.
The Bomb comes up with a plan to restore Wonder Woman. He tussles with King Samson and then stuns him with a hand blast, allowing Phantom Lady to wrap Wonder Woman's lasso around Samson's gloved right hand. Right? Pay attention because it swaps. In turn, the Bomb takes off his glove and essentially fist bumps King Samson, which generates a massive charge of power, which circuits back through the lasso, which is wrapped around Wonder Woman. She instantly starts to return to normal, losing her silver state. The first panel of the next page, we see King Samson, however, snapping the lasso that's around his wrist. Not coloured properly, but we can see that the glove is supposed to be on his right hand. And as he snaps the lasso, we see a huge, massive electrical charge racing back along it.
The energy backlash blasts Uncle Sam and Wonder Woman, then continues onward, shooting across the city, toward the only other body primed to receive its incredible power.
And indeed, we see this golden arc of energy firing across the city, as the captions say, to a hospital morgue, where it strikes a body that we don't see with a... And the caption reads,
The results?
The body glows, and there is an amazing sound effect. And we don't see it, really, so this could be cutting to some bad storytelling here. We don't actually see what happens. This could be cutting to somewhere else. But it's implied heavily that the body here is the Silver Ghost, because the page concludes with the Silver Ghost standing up, shrugging off his shroud, looking proud and strong as he cries,
The Silver Ghost lives again.
Top of the next page, then, a caption reads,
We'll examine the consequences of that unexpected turn of events shortly, but first...
We see Phantom Lady and the Human Bomb helping Uncle Sam to his feet, Wonder Woman's body lying on the ground in front of them. The Bomb says,
Did it work, Sam?
I can't rightly say. Gotta get Wonder Woman back to our headquarters and give her a chance to recover. You two will have to keep that Samson fella busy. And Sam flies off beating Wonder Woman. Phantom Lady says,
We get all the easy jobs.
And the Bomb says,
Be nice if the rest of the team were here to share the work.
And if you're wondering where the other half of our supergroup is, look no further than the Manhattan House of Detention.
Manhattan House of Detention, that's a good band name. Yes, we see District Attorney David Pearson talking to the now uniformed forms of Black Condor, Dollman, and the Ray. If you remember last issue, they were in prison fatigues, but they've been given their uniforms back, or has someone forgotten? Anyway, Pearson is standing with his hands on his hips, and he's saying,
Gentlemen, and I use the term loosely, I allowed your 3 teammates to go free in Wonder Woman's custody, and they proceeded to get her killed. I'm inclined to throw away the key to the cell you're languishing in and keep you there till hell freezes over. Unfortunately, my superiors feel that you should be allowed to present your side of the story to the public. And I've granted permission for Miss Roberts to interview you in your costumes.
I see, maybe that's why they got the costume back. Miss Roberts? Now, Miss Roberts arrives, we only see her from the back. She's beautiful dark auburn hair, and she has caused a response because we see Dollman is astonished by this person. Because in the next panel, as we see her, oh great, big hoop earrings and big blue eyes, what a stunner. Dollman exclaims,
Roberts? Martha Roberts?
That's right, Dollman, but how did you know? We've never met before, have we? And he turns away in the next panel, looking a bit sad, and he says,
No, I guess we haven't.
Did I say something wrong? Says Martha. And then the Ray says, He'll be all right, miss. It's just that you're an exact double of his old girlfriend. She died a long time ago. And he's never forgotten her. And we see Dollman looking very sad and remembering the face of his Martha Roberts. Martha then says, Maybe we'd better start the interview. Open the cell door, Mr. Pearson. I don't do my interviews through iron bars. And we see Pearson unlocking the door to the cell. There's an inset shot of Martha with her microphone as she says, The DA's office is charged that the freedom fighters did willfully aid and abet the criminal known as the Silver Ghost in his scheme to take over Manhattan. And we get a flashback to Uncle Sam and Human Bomb ripping up the pavement a couple of issues ago. The Ray replies, Yeah, but what they don't tell you is that the Ghost forced us to help him by turning 3 of us to silver. And we get flashback then to the Ghost being dealt with when he was charged with energy when he was half in, half out of the pond. There's a massive zack sound effect to illustrate it, which is charming. And the Ray continues. When he died, though, we had no way of proving it. Martha gets the microphone back in the next panel, top of the next page, and she says, So now your only hope is to capture the Silver Ghost's henchman, King Samson, and get him to corroborate your own testimony. But isn't he currently on the rampage, armed with some strange power glove? To which the Black Condor says, Precisely. Wonder Woman was trying to help us prove our innocence, and it cost her life. There is a shot of Wonder Woman being zapped by King Samson and turning to silver. Pearson gets in the road of the camera here, saying,
That's right. New York City has lost its greatest superheroine because of these costumed outlaws, and I intend to hold them responsible for her tragic demise.
Condor leans in angrily, saying, You pompous hypocrite! If you had let all of us go after King Samson in Wonder Woman's custody instead of just 3, the Amazon might still be alive. Take it easy, Blackie, says the Ray, trying to restrain him. Martha turns to Dollman at this point and says, Dollman, Mr. Dane, would you mind a few questions?
Probably.
We see that he's faced towards the cell window, the barred cell window at this point.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but...
And suddenly his eyes go wide as he says,
Ray! Condor, get over here!
The others join him as the Ray says, What's up, Daryl? What do you see? And then we see what they see, because flying past the prison, in fact, flying past all these buildings, looking very angry, it's the Silver Ghost. Condor, Ray and Dollman then burst their way out, with the Ray zapping the prison guards in the eyes, Condor nabbing their guns and knocking him into a cell with his feet. And the Ray drops District Attorney David Pearson in too. Dollman says to Martha,
Sorry about this, Miss Roberts.
Hey, it's okay, Dollman. I understand. You see the Ray is using his hands, really focusing his power on the cell wall in the next panel. He looks over and says, Chit-chat some other time, Daryl. We've got things to do. And then Dollman, looking very suave for such a little guy, leans into Martha and says,
I hope we meet again, Miss Roberts.
I hope so too, Dollman. But next time, call me Martha. And in the next panel, Martha looks on, dare I say, sadly, as the Condor flies away and the Ray flies away, with Dollman perched on his shoulder. At Freedom Fighters' headquarters, we see Sam standing over Wonder Woman, and as he finds a weak pulse, he hopes for her recovery, lest the Freedom Fighters be thought of as murderers. And, top of the next page, a caption reads,
And, high above the city,
we see the Silver Ghost flying about, and he's thinking to himself,
Somehow my being dead has increased my mental capabilities. I've telepathically learned that King Samson has my glove, and that his use of it could destroy Manhattan. My goal is to reclaim this island for my family, the original owners, but if Samson isn't stopped, there won't be a city left for Raphael Van Sant to reclaim. With my increased power, it's no problem to locate my former ally. There he is now, battling 2 of the freedom fighters.
and below,
Phantom Lady and the Human Bomb are scrapping with King Samson while trying to lead him towards Freedom Fighters HQ in case Wonder Woman recovers and can help them out. And we can all take a drink because King Samson has turned a handy trash can to silver before throwing it at the Human Bomb. Phantom Lady zaps King Samson with a blackout ray so Bomb can lay a power punch on him. And there is an enormous kabaroo as the power is unleashed and both men fall down.
King Samson is the first to rise, but before he can take advantage of his rapid recovery,
he's saying out loud, "If I can just get my hands on that," and then he looks to see that his right hand seems to be moving of its own accord without his influence, and he says, "Huh? Something's taken control of my hand." And now we cut and see that the silver ghost is flying directly overhead. It seems to be yodeling in his direction. And the silver ghost thinks,
No one realizes that I can mentally control anything my glove has turned to silver, as well as the glove itself. King Samson will use my glove on only one more victim, himself.
Yes, and we see, still locked inside Phantom Lady's blackout ray, Samson struggling to force his hand backwards as it moves towards him. He cries, "No!" And then there is a massive kapow! And a burst of silver energy which sends Phantom Lady and Human Bomb flying. Human Bomb's still with his glove off, by the way. That's not safe.
and when the smoke is cleared,
We see Phantom Lady being helped to her feet by the ray. As Black Condor and Dollman also arrive, Bomb also gets to his feet, and King Samson, stretched out flat on the ground, turns silver. The ray, helping Phantom Lady up, says, "Sandy, honey, are you all right?" And as he drops to the ground, Condor asks, "What the blazes happened here?"
Not a heck of a lot, Blackie. I just killed our only hope of redemption.
Phantom Lady steps forward and says,
It's not your fault, Roy. You did what you had to. Everything will still be okay.
and then we hear the voice of the Silver Ghost as he says,
Your optimism is incredible, my dear Phantom Lady, and also quite unfounded.
The Bomb whirls and says,
who?
and Dollman says,
There's something we forgot to mention, Roy.
and then we cut to see Silver Ghost using his powers to turn a car silver as he says,
Why belabor the obvious, Dollman? Even the dull-witted human bomb can see that I live again. And this time, I'm more powerful than ever.
and we see him manipulating the car, which he's just turned silver, so that it starts to rush towards our heroes. The Bomb yells for Phantom Lady to get out of the way, but she goes phantom, and the car passes through her. Silver Ghost is now turning other random objects to silver and throwing them at the heroes. As Sam arrives back on the scene, he spots the Bomb is about to be hit by another trash can, take a drink, that he hasn't seen. Sam thumps it before it hits Mr. Lincoln. We then see the ray zapping a lump of something that the Ghost had sent at Dollman, and then we see the Condor flying towards the Ghost, who has transformed a lamppost and thrown it towards Tom. It strikes him on the head, and as he falls, Dollman runs forward, saying,
He's falling, and if he hits the ground at that speed, he'll be killed.
And then, the unexpected.
Dollman is now standing underneath Black Condor, and Dollman seems to be doing the same weird yodeling movement, psychic movement power that Silver Ghost was using a moment ago, because we see waves of energy radiating from him and stopping Condor from falling. Condor says, "Huh?" And then he's settled neatly and carefully in the ground, and he says, "How did you manage that little trick, Daryl?"
Beats me, Tom. Just thought about stopping your fall, and it happened.
But before any theories can be offered,
A couple of police cars arrive, and stepping out of the first one is, it's Pearson, who speaks through a microphone and says,
This is a DA. You're all under arrest.
The ray, delighted to see him, says, "I knew we should have stuffed Pearson's mouth full of pillows before we escaped." Uncle Sam whispers to the lads in the next panel, saying, "I reckon Pearson is a mite upset about you fellas breaking out of his hoosgow." Condor says, "Couldn't be helped, Sam. We had to get after the Silver Ghost. He's our only hope of proving our innocence now that King Samson is dead." The boys raise their hands as Pearson comes towards them with a couple of uniformed officers. Sam says, "But it looks like he's flown the coop. I don't think any of those policemen even saw him." Dollman, perched on Condor's shoulder at this point, says,
We're the only ones who knows he's back in action. And I really don't think old Pearson is in any mood to believe our word.
Policemen step forward. One of them is a set of handcuffs, which he's opening. The heroes are starting to raise their hands as Sam says, "Looks like there's only one thing to do then, team. If we want our freedom, we're going to have to fight for it." And then he yells, "Take off, Tom!" as he punches the poor policeman with the handcuffs. And in the background, Black Condor takes off, lifting Phantom Lady and the Human Bomb with him. The ray flies over Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam grabs a hold of his arm in his hand as the ray lifts him up too, with the ray saying, "Thought you'd want a lift, Sammy, even if you didn't have your thumb out." And there's a slow dissolve.
and some hours later, in the office of District Attorney Pearson,
Pearson, And a couple of his lads appear to be watching the news, and to me that looks like a very familiar face that's on the goggle box.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be Clark Kent? I think it is.
It certainly is. It's watching WGBS.
Of course. He's saying, the freedom fighters escaped from New York police twice today, the result of alleged bungling by the district attorney there. Here with an on-the-scene report is Martha Roberts, GBS Special News correspondent. But Clark is cut off as Pearson leans forward and switches off the television, saying,
That's all I need. Network coverage of the biggest debacle of my career. I'm going to charge those 6 clowns with everything from littering to the murder of Wonder Woman.
In the background, we see his assistant Olsen answering the telephone and saying quietly, Who's here to see him? As Pearson continues ranting.
Even though I never liked that Amazon dame, I'm going to milk her death for everything it's worth.
And he breaks off as none other than Wonder Woman opens the door and walks in, saying, Sorry to burst your balloon, Pearson, but I'm not as dead as you might wish to believe. The freedom fighters saved my life. And then Pearson, his cigarette falling from his mouth, cries,
Jenkins, cancel the murder charge. But everything else sticks.
And we see, it's obviously later in the evening, as the shadows are deep, and you can take a couple of drinks, listeners, because there's a couple of trash cans in the foreground. Our hero's lurking, what looks like an alleyway or maybe an old building. Black Condor and the Ray sat on the ground, Human Bomb standing leaning against the wall with his arms folded, Phantom Lady saying to Uncle Sam,
What do we do now, Sam?
I can't rightly say, Sandy, but one thing's for doggone certain. We've got to find the Silver Ghost before the authorities find us. And we close with a caption.
Next issue, the freedom fighters on the run, the nation on the brink of doom, and it all comes together in Rutland, Vermont.
Oh!
Don't miss this Halloween thriller, Witching Hour for the Warrior Wizards.
Gosh,
It'll be coming at you in the last week of October.
that sounds fun.
A return to Rutland. How exciting.
Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman's all right, so that's okay.
Yay! And the Silver Ghost is back.
Yep.
And King Samson is no more.
Boo.
There we are. A lot happened this issue. It's very exciting.
There's not quite as much substance in this one. It was much easier to summarise. It's just basically, there's a few fights and stuff. But I like the Human Bomb's plan on how to bring Wonder Woman back. That was quite interesting.
Yes.
Almost like he was reversing the polarity of the neutron flow.
Pretty much. Comic book science. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that King Samson could snap Wonder Woman's lasso.
Ooh.
Seems to be a combination of his strength and Silver Ghost's glove.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
The look of King Samson, actually, it's weird because they mentioned in the letter column in the previous issue of the quality character Hercules. He kind of reminds me a bit of the look of King Samson, from what I recall.
Okay.
It's a bit similar to that. It's been a while since I've read any of that, but I'm sure he's got a similar look to parts of his outfit. He's not got a big beard, but yeah, he has.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's not a character I'm very familiar with, but he pops up in the tail end of the Golden Age at one point, doesn't he, when they're all sort of descending in Washington together. Yeah, I do remember seeing him there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about this series. Like, Samson gets dealt with, but there's no sense of any kind of dealing with anything that happened with him in the previous issue, like, with that building being blown up and his mum being killed and that other woman being killed. There's a real scattershot sort of approach to a lot of the plotting, which I'm finding a little bit unsatisfying. It's that Eric Saber thing of just dealing with a plot point by killing a character and just stopping. You don't have to worry with this anymore because they're dead.
I mean, compared to most other titles what we're covering just now, there is quite a lot of death in this series.
Yes.
There was the wife a couple of issues ago, and obviously you've got King Samson, you've got all the people that he returned to silver and dissolved. That's really horrible.
Yeah, it does kind of feel in tune with some of the Golden Age stories that we have read, though, which do have quite sort of high kill counts.
Yeah.
But you're right. Compared to JLA, for example, or the JSA story, you haven't really seen very many innocent bystanders or even villains just being killed. It's a bit unpleasant.
I mean, pre-Comics Code, you had Bullet Man go up against his version of the Fiddler, who was very killy, who we said should really be called the Shooter because he seemed to shoot people more than he played his violin.
Yeah. Think of all those animals that died in that Mr. Who story that Brandon did Mr. Who for when we did our Doctor Who 60th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Or that dog that got killed in the Ragman story the other week.
I know. Very killy, the Golden Age.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Thank goodness the Comics Code Authority came in and cleared all that up.
Thank goodness.
Except for the deaths that's happening in this issue.
Yeah, it's unusual to sort of see it. And I'm not really one for innocent bystanders being killed. It's not what I buy superhero comics for. I'm not really into it because it's never dealt with and it's very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
If this was an issue of Astro City, we would get Abigail's family dealing with it and having to organise the funeral and all that sort of stuff. And do you know what I mean? It wouldn't just be left that she just randomly died. We'd have someone getting the phone call. It would be horrendous.
And perhaps someone would take a sliver of the silver and try and make it into a ring or something as a memento.
Gosh, when we write our DC comic,
Yes.
whatever happened to Abigail?
Mm-hmm.
The big thing in this issue, of course, is the introduction of Martha Roberts.
Yes.
The Earth 1 Martha Roberts.
How very exciting. Is she
Yes.
going to become Doll Girl?
Oh, that would be amazing. I can't remember.
The fact she's a reporter for WGBS is amazing.
Yes.
Because it's like literally Clark was saying, and now let's cut to Martha. It's like,
Yes.
she's not been in the Superman titles? Is she new? Interesting. Yeah. I can't wait to see where that goes.
Definitely.
I haven't read ahead, listeners, so
No, me neither.
I'm genuinely quite excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, other than that, there's not a lot of substance in this issue. There's some more fights, and we're left with the slight shift in the status quo that our heroes are all out of prison, but they're all still trying to get away from D.A. Pearson. So probably won't be too long before we return to Freedom Fighters to see what happens down next.
And we've got even more power upgrades in this issue because Dollman appears to have some other kind of ability, some sort of telekinetic ability.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
That was weird.
Because the concentric circles sort of coming out his forehead, it's very reminiscent of Aquaman's telepathic power.
Yeah.
So obviously it is kind of like a mental ability of some kind.
Yeah.
Will he master this? Is this a one-off? Who knows?
And as I said, it's very similar to what Silver Ghost was doing as well when he was moving, manipulating everything. So is it just a side effect of being exposed to the Silver Ghost? We'll see.
May well be.
It's interesting.
Because that's a recent development. It doesn't seem to be connected to the migration from the Earths. Interesting.
With that little scene and introduction to Martha, this is, I think, the most Dollman has had to do in the series so far. So I'm quite glad of that, actually. I'm quite glad he's getting something to do.
As opposed to when he was failing to enroll in college and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those very exciting, dramatic scenes.
And spending all of his savings because he'd managed to transfer all of his money over from Earth X, all of his savings from that war-torn, ravaged planet over to Earth 1 and set up a bank account. Did he bring it all in cash and it can shrunk down as even further? I don't know.
But remember, Earth X was the Nazi world, so the dollars probably would look quite different. I don't think they'd have the classic American presence.
I know. I mean, that even further highlights the ridiculousness of him claiming to do what he's just done.
I know. As I always say, it's one of my pet peeves is when they do stuff like that, because it's like, why would money look the same in all these different Earths?
Exactly.
Especially with hugely different histories like that. Instead of like Lincoln and Washington, you could have like Hitler and Goebbels on the notes.
Yeah. Have you ever watched any episodes of the old G.I. Joe cartoon series from the 80s?
No, I'm afraid not.
AKA Action Force. Well, there's a 2-part story called, I think it was called Worlds Without End, where there's a sort of electrical malfunction and a few Joes get shunted into a parallel universe where basically Cobra had won quite a long time ago.
Right. And
a couple of the Joes find out that they died in this universe, so they decide to stay and fight. And there is a scene where they go into a shop, a sort of like, old Martin Pa shop that sells tons of stuff. They've got some motorbikes outside, so they buy some motorbikes, and there's a scene as Flint and the others ride off, and the old guy shouts, "Hey, what use is this? These are American dollars!" Because they'd obviously paid with the cash which they had on them. So it's a similar thing to what you're saying there. We could maybe do that episode on the show, actually. Depends if it's broadcast before Crisis takes place. Interesting. I'm sure it's on YouTube, on the Hasbro YouTube channel.
Cool.
G.I. Joe! Anyway, plot-wise, not a huge amount goes on, apart from the fights and the change in status for Dollman. But Wonder Woman's okay, which is good, because she'll be appearing on the show more regularly. Well, a version of Wonder Woman will be appearing on the show more regularly, starting very, very soon indeed.
Yeah.
Shall we go to the letters?
Yep, let's jump ahead another couple of issues to Freedom Fan Mail.
Yes, my beautiful copy of issue 7, which is one of the ones that Mr. Root brought me back from the States in the summer of '93. Gorgeous. Look at it. Flawless. Lovely. Right, the first letter goes like this.
Dear Editor, what do I think of Ramona Fradon? Fantastic, that's what. I am thoroughly pleased with her fresh, slightly cartoonish way of handling our 6 freedom fighters and their wonderful allies. Although I'm not too wild about Vince Gilletta's inks. DC's FF is every bit as good as your competitors. Personalities are being developed. The characters are having a difficult time adjusting to their new environment, and the people around them are not willing to make their adjustment easy. An excellent start. However, I feel there is one area in which the FF is having its problems. Problems opposite to those of the All-Star Squad. Whereas All-Star has 3 plots that I can think of right off the top of my head, all going simultaneously, Freedom Fighters has only one. As I pointed out above, FF has such a rich background for conflict, both internal and external, that the reader is left hanging on the edge of his seat, waiting for something more, and then finding out he must wait 2 months for the next plot, or just the end of this month's plot. By all means, keep the continued stories. With only 17 pages per issue, anything else would be too short. But insert a subplot, or a lead into the next plot. I think the 2 storylines interweaved through 4 issues is far better than a single plot over 2 issues. Other than that, I think Freedom Fighters is a fine book. I look forward to future issues. Oh, happy 200th, Sam. I wish you many more, says Carl A. Strickland from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
No editorial response, Sally, but she makes a really good point there about the plotting. It's definitely simpler than what we've seen in Secret Society and All-Star.
Yeah.
The next letter goes like this. Dear editor, the August Freedom Fighters just found its way into my hot little hands. While it's a bit late to comment on the issue's story, I'll give you some thoughts on what I think of the series. I like what's going on in the Freedom Fighters. For old heroes, they sure are new and refreshing. And here's my vote for the Ramona Fradon, Joanne Canale art team. Keep them together. I also like the misplaced feeling that FF has, being from another world as they are. This feeling lends credibility to the characters, a credibility that seems to be lacking in so many comic book characters. Just keep up the fine work on FF, Jerry. Between you and Mr. Pascoe, you can build some fine characterisation, something I'm sure you'll do. You've already got the scientific, analytical Daryl Dane, the bickering human bomb, a slightly naive phantom lady, and much more. And let me add that I don't think it would be out of character for the Ray to wisecrack and joke during a battle. Isn't it to be expected with a name like Happy Terrell? And that's from Ronald Fitz at Valparaiso, Indiana, or Indiana? No, it's not going to be Indianapolis. Indiana, shall we say. Someone can tell me it says IND.
Editorial response is, it's never too late for your comments, Ron. What it is too late for, however, is any words of advice to Messrs. Conway and Pascoe. Jerry has, as we are sure you're by now aware, left the DC fold for other pastures, while Marty, due to other commitment, has turned FF over to the capable Bob Rozakis. Also, in the continuing merry-go-round of creative teams, our old art team has gone on to other things to be replaced by currently debuting Dick Ayers and Jack Abel.
The next letter goes like this.
Dear Editor, character revivals are all the rage nowadays. DC has brought back Golden Age heroes right and left over the past year or two, and many of them have been handled very well. Unfortunately, Freedom Fighters is not among these. I was enthusiastic when I heard that the group first introduced in the Justice League were to get their own book. However, from the first issue on, I've been disappointed. Are the Freedom Fighters really being written by the same Marty Pascoe who has done such brilliant work on Cobra and Dr. Fate? Somehow, I can't believe it. And is it the same Ramona Fradon whose work on Plastic Man thrills me so? No, it can't be. Face it, people, Freedom Fighters just doesn't have it. Scathing comments here from Mike Lerner, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, I kind of empathise in a way. There's got a lot of very constructive criticism in these letters, and I think it's justified. The next letter reads, Dear Editor, I really can't say what I like so much about Freedom Fighters, so I won't. No, I'm kidding. The art is fresh and vibrant, the story's 10 times better than anything put out by the competition. What, really? And the experimental quality's refreshing. Witness issue 5. The rise and fall of King Samson had a very good plot and script. I like the idea of Phantom Lady outthinking the bomb and Uncle Sam on the second page, as well as a new Martha Roberts subplot begun in the middle of the story. The characters seem very human, much more than even the JLA or JSA. I can't wait to see the developments in future issues. As for the art, Ramona Fradon is great. When I first heard that she was taking over the art chores on FF, I was afraid that everyone would wind up looking like Metamorpho. Instead, she has made Freedom Fighters a pleasure to look at. Finally, the experimental qualities. The logo contest running is excellent. I can't recall another mag ever running such a contest, and I think whoever thought of it should take a bow, and that's from Chuck Small, Chicago, Illinois. Now, I don't remember anything about a logo competition. Do you?
Nope, I missed that as well.
Oh well.
But it has been a while since we read the earlier issues, so...
Editorial response then reads,
Have no fear, Chuck. Ramona is a very versatile, not to mention talented, lady. She's done 'em all, from straight superhero, Aquaman and the FF, to satire, Metamorpho and Plastic Man. Let's get cracking on the letters, readers. We've received relatively few to date. If you've forgotten the address, it's the same as always. Freedom Fan Mail, 75 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York. And don't be shy about sending your comments either.
Peter, where should our listeners send any comments they might have about the story and the show?
They would email us at the S2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, folks, because we're putting up some lovely bonus material for this and indeed every episode. David does a wonderful job of that.
Thank you, dear. It's a pleasure.
On Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth 2 Podcast, and on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2. And it'll come as no surprise to regular listeners that it's the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. If you're enjoying what we do on the show, please consider sharing one of our posts or all of our posts and going to wherever it is you receive your podcasts and leaving us a positive review. That would be lovely. Failing that, you could maybe go to our coffee page and buy Peter the price of a beverage as he starts to edit the imminent 1976 Justice Society and Justice League team-up. Oofed. We've been working on this for months, haven't we?
This is the biggest cast ever on the F2 podcast. Remember the 7 Soldiers of Victory? No, that was nothing compared to this.
I can't wait for the inevitable omnibus of that story before they turn up in All-Star Squadron, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Listeners, join us again in 7 days, please. I've been David.
And I've been Peter, and you've been listening to
the Earth 2 podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
Hope we meet again, Miss Roberts.
I hope so too, doll man. But next time, call me Martha.
Why did you say that name?
And the next panel, you've thrown me.
Sorry. Couldn't resist.
I know, fair. I reckon Pearson is a mite upset about you fellas breaking out of his what?
Horse?
His Hooskow?
Hooskow. Hootsmon. There's a Hooskow.
What is a Hooskow?
About 350.
It's a thing that goes a hoose.